Hello, my friends. Welcome. I'm out in my studio where I'm continuing to make different changes and including I had ordered this incredible light over a month ago. And then, it didn't come and I didn't hear. And so they were having shipping issues. And remember, so sometime in mid-September, you're probably going to be seeing that. So this is a fun project for me and a fun creative project. And so I love to be sharing that all with you. A couple of things I was reading about that I wanted to share as we're gathering today. One is that there's something that we have known for a long time, but now science is going, hey, you can send your awareness to places where you are not physically located, and it will arrive there. And something we've been talking about how we can connect with each other, across space for sure. And so I loved hearing that. And then another, which is a kind of a duh for us, is that we've always said the quickest way to change your mind is to change your body, which is kind of opposite from a lot of, just identify your beliefs, you change your beliefs. It's sort of what I think of as a trickle down theory, which doesn't work in economics. And I found it doesn't work in this sense either, that what they're saying now is the quickest way to shift your state is to shift your attention. And we're going, yes, that's what we call loop of awareness. It's when you shift your attention, you're shifting your context. And that can be just incredibly important right now, because you might be going into something, or just the sense of the craziness that's going on right now. It can make us shrink our attention rather than really expanding our attention. And so my big invitation for you today is to be really focusing on how not only how it's not big, but expanded you can make your attention. And if you have any doubt, to just shift your attention, and that actually will shift your inner state. It can shift you out of fear. It can shift you into presence. And so there's just the ongoing practice of what we call loop of awareness has enabled me to continue looking for beauty, looking for possibilities, keeping my creativity alive. So regardless of what's going on out there, you can influence the whole. And for a long time, we've known that if 3% of the population gather around a shared intention, that can impact the other 97%. So if you're part of the 3% club, that really allows you to let your own experience influence not only the people around you, but the people that you don't even know who live in other parts of the world. So the connection that we call the World Wide Web is really a web of our shared attention. And that's one of the reasons I love for us to gather, because we're renewing and deepening and strengthening the weaving of our attention. And it was just occurring to me that to shift out of fear or anxiety, the is a wonderful thing to add to and we've talked about this, to add to your loop of awareness. But I would really like you to focus on that today, of the and let yourself create the through your out breath, and letting yourself, giving your attention to where the is flowing in you. The and do that a couple of times until you could really notice, like, the lattice, the weaving of the in you. And I can now, because I've been practicing this for a long time, I can feel the coming way down in my body, but I can also feel it in my back, which is something that I didn't resonate with as much before. But I can actually notice the vibration down my spine. And then I can notice the vibration between the back of my body and the front of my body, so that I'm creating a resonance through and around my heart. And I think that's incredibly valuable. The really moves us out of our critical judgmental brains, and our fear brains into wonder, as in, I wonder how I can continue connecting with what I most appreciate today. I wonder how I can be of service today. And the when I do it, I'd like you to just notice what opens up for you when you and what pitch really works for you today. Sometimes I can find my pitch is lower or a little bit higher, and then it reaches different places, and particularly around my ears, because I had ear infections as a kid, and so creating that sense of wholeness around my ears. If there's any place in your body that you're feeling like there's a little tangle or a little stuck, go ahead and send a to it. And I notice as I do that I can feel myself rooting more. So humming and rooting, really feeling my feet, sending the down through my feet, and then letting yourself send your attention out. And I'd love for you to send it out with a So you can deliver a I'm delivering a to this oak tree that's at the end of our property. It seems so strange to me to say our property, because this is the area that we're stewarding. It's not my property. I'm just occupying it for this period of time, but I take responsibility for stewarding. And one of the things I'm most pleased with is that in 23 years, this oak that I can see from out my window is so happy. I can just see how happy it is when I look at it. And so I can enjoy the tree's happiness, and I'm getting the life. The tree is then humming back at me, and then I'm creating more of my own inner treeness. When I was a kid, when we had to draw something in school, I always drew trees. I had all of these trees. So trees and I are, very companionable. So letting your go first into you, and then letting yourself look out. It could be just in the room where you are, but someplace where you can see, and then back to you with the and then letting your go. Like you to think of someone, like I have friends who unfortunately just came down with COVID. And yeah, I know. And I was going to go and visit them. So that's off. So in fact, the other day, I gathered my and my attention, and I sent it to them. And they got in contact with me and said, we got it. We felt it. We appreciate it. So think of someone that you would like to send your attention and your and your wish for well-being. And I'd like you to gather it up, because your attention can go around the world. And I'd like you to just gather it up and send it to them with a And I'm seeing my and my love for them just swirling around them, and giving them little butterfly kisses, and then letting the come back to you. Is caring for each other is not on the political agenda right now. And I think it's something that we can really generate and sustain and expand. And the is such and giving attention to is really the basis of caring and kindness. It's noticing. So letting yourself do that, and notice if there's anybody. Like I'll sometimes have someone come into my mind, I hadn't thought of them in a long time. And that's an opportunity to send them a and your attention, knowing that it will land. And even if they don't get it with their mind, their body will get it. Their energetic system will get it. And it expands it just expands your field so that you can be connected with people around the world right now instantly. And it's only, I think, our oh, this couldn't possibly work, that gets in the way of that. So if you're willing to let yourself create some magic, this is a great way to do it. And so that's the big loop of awareness thing that I wanted to share with you today. And now I'd love to have Michelle, if you could share our card, our integrity card for today. And one of the reasons that we share the integrity card is because integrity is about wholeness, and it's about creating, enjoying, and operating from your wholeness, and also recovering your wholeness when it gets tangled up or interfered with. And so, since that happens a bazillion times a day, having the practice of alignment, the practice of weaving wholeness is really about what the integrity cards are about, so that you can move with ease and flow and be a source of ease and flow for others. So this is a great one to with. So you can let yourself as you let your attention go into the card and noticing what you're noticing, and then back to you about how all the colors and shapes and images are landing in you, and any memories that come up or associations with, like, the butterfly or the little thing that's lurking under her chin. I'm assuming that's a her. So that's just my story that I'm making up. So letting your attention circulate while I read you these two short, a sentence and a question. My language closely matches my experience. My language closely matches my experience. And then the question, how can I communicate in a way that closely matches my actual experience? And to me, when I even read this, I hear an internal humming. It's a because I'm calculating and moving toward, how is this resonate, and does it hum with? So the language that we use is condensed experience, and we use language as a shorthand for describing our experience, so that we don't have to have long explanations, instead of just saying, could you hand me the cheese? So the experience that we have of our language, I find many people are, actually, I'm just realizing this is a judgment, but it's my judgment that most people are quite sloppy with their language, and also, don't really land on it. And one of the things I've learned from Gay over the years, from the very first moment I met him, he is in this study of this particular skill of how can my language closely match my experience. And he can be right in the middle of a sentence and he'll go, oh no, it wasn't exactly that. It wasn't wobbling, it was tipping. So he will get as close to it as his language can match. Now, when I'm first starting out with this, and what I recommend for you all is that sometimes your language can't really match your experience. That's one of the reasons that I invented bodifying, because your body can match your experience. And so I'd love for you to, we can come back to the big group now, because I want to have you try on an experiment. But the whole intention of having your language closely match is one of the ways you can tune up your system, so that your resonance and your humming has even more power, because when your language isn't matching, your vibration gets, it's like a tuning fork, and you touch the tuning fork and you lose the vibration. So when you're wanting to explain something, what I like to do first is to let my body and even my sounds, like, and then if there are words that want to come, they can add to. But when I'm first playing with this, I like to have my make sounds and let my body express, because your language is only 7% of what you communicate, at most. And so, but that's the part that we give the most, but we don't pay any attention to. How are you breathing? Was there, is there a certain image that came to you? Are you letting yourself breathe and move while you're doing this? So I'd like you to just notice something going on in you right now. And I'd like you to let yourself, what I call bodifying, which is letting your body just express what you're experiencing. So you can do that with your hands. That's usually easier for people than whole body. But if your whole body wants to express it, and even if you want to move around or make big movements or little movements, if you let yourself do that for even a minute, I think you'll notice that you've opened up your inner vocabulary, you've opened up your inner landscape, and you get to experience the richness of your own poetry, the richness of your own, the poetry that you're always creating as you're moving through the world and as your voice is sounding and as you're around other people. Because when you're around other people, you create a different kind of bodifying, because their resonance is influencing you. But the moment you let yourself express, one of the things I notice is I feel more flow, just more flow of energy. So notice if you're feeling more flow by just letting yourself bodify. And the place where I really would like you to practice it is when you're on your computer. Because if you're working on something, you're going to go up and forward, and you're kind of leaving that 97% of you behind. So if I'm like, I want to respond to somebody who has sent me something, I'll first let myself bodify. How am I receiving this communication? And it doesn't take very long. It's not like it's a big essay that you have to create, but just letting yourself notice, ooh, I got that feels a little scratchy. And then in my response, I can go, I just noticed my body felt a little scratchy, and I'm just wondering what that's about. And it always has relevance to, what's going on. And it just allows us to use much more of our wisdom, much more of our experience that we've inherited. And also, I want people to get used to other people moving when they're communicating with them, rather than, hello, here I am, how are you? That we have, I'm fine, how are you? And and if that disrupts people, hooray. I'm totally in favor of disrupting people, and disrupting the context of, we all have to be still, or because the authority is speaking. And so, I love it. Like, at the beginning of the pandemic, people would be having meeting, and then one of their kids would come in and, come up behind them, or, the cat would come on somebody's shoulder. I love that. And, that's the way I would like business to occur in life. You got your kid on your lap. I admire very much the women who breastfeed their baby, at a council meeting, and, life, rather than, this is not life, this is business. So in the business of life, I want to invite you to let yourself notice what you're actually experiencing. Let yourself bodify that, so that what you say, the matching of that allows you to create your own music. So regardless of how other people are receiving you, you're letting your instrument really play fully. And, fear is likely to come up, and then you let yourself shift your attention, you add in your fear melters, and you continue playing. Yeah. And so since you're the pioneers in this particular arena, my assignment for you is to go forth and have a lot of fun with it, with this. Yahoo! All right. So now I'm going to turn to my Presence Connect play here and see what it's got for us today. Now you saw me, I just touched this. I didn't do anything to it. So presence is notice and follow what your body wants to do most. So just go ahead and notice, that is, give attention to you and follow what your body wants to do most. So my body right now wants to bounce. And giving attention to my body with a what do you want is so different than how we mostly are saying, okay, shape up body, stop it, or do this more, do this less, or get skinny, or we're telling our bodies what to do. But what if you were like, what does your body most want to do right now? It's also such a wonderful presencing break, because I'm I'm giving my body the attention that I would give a friend, and befriending my own experience is incredibly powerful. So just take a moment also to notice, when you follow what your body wants to do most, if you feel more ease or more happiness or more expansion or just more flow. Because sometimes what's wanting to flow is feelings, and we've been stopping it by not moving. So there might be tears that come up, or that's flow. Feelings are flow. So if the feelings all come out of the same faucet. So if you're willing to let yourself feel what you're feeling, you get to feel everything. So this is really an all or nothing kind of proposition here with feelings. So noticing and following, I love how that came. Okay. Oh, and then connect, one of my favorites. Appreciate everyone as a work of art. So that's again a shift out of the kind of judgment, that because our brains are trained to look for enemies. Is this a friend or foe? And if you let yourself see and experience others as an evolving work of art, then you've shifted to that ability to connect and to notice that you can nourish each other, activates your mirror neurons, activates the sense of, here we are together. And out of that, here we are together, we can enjoy the nourishment of connection, which is, I think, what all addictions are about, is needing the nourishment of connection. And we're trying to get it by, drinking or eating, or, looking at our scrolling through internet, rather than getting that, the nourishment of connection with ourselves and with others. So are you willing, actually ask yourself, are you willing to see yourself as a work of art? And I'd like to add in evolving, because you're not a static work of art, you're an evolving work of art. Just like my oak tree is an evolving work of art, it never stays the same. And then are you willing to see others as an evolving work of art, rather than, oh, I don't like this work of art, it would be much better if it were like this. It'd be like telling a Picasso it should be more like a Monet. And I'm much more of a Monet person myself. And there's a time at our house when just before the sun goes down, it comes in horizontal through our front yard, and it is Monet. It just is just so gorgeous. And if you have something like that in your life that you really appreciate, I'd like you to look at that and really appreciate it, and then give that to yourself, that you are as magnificent as that thing out there you think is just wonderful. And then play, of course, is the fear melters. We don't think of fear melters as play, but fear melters are really a portal to play, because when we're in fear, we can't think. We go stupid and we see other people as enemies. But when we do fear melters, that opens up the play. And play is being able, I think of it as benign tossing. It's like, oh, let's try this. Oh, oh, that didn't, oh, I think we're going to do this instead. And that sense of openness to, let's see what happens. Let's just try this and see what happens. Is how all inventions, I think all human inventions got created. So when you combine all of these together, uh, it's a very powerful replacement for the hero, the victim, and the villain. And also so much more nourishing in my experience, so much more nourishing. So one of the things I love about this group and being with you is that it generates, for me, it generates creativity. So what I wish for you, so being and exchanging attention, I get more creative. So I just, I improvise these things when I see you. And sometimes I'll come in with an idea, but most often when I'm tuning into you, something arises in me. And so I want to invite you to let your own creativity be supported and stimulated by the practices that we're sharing, so that it happens just very naturally and very easily, and not something you have to work on, but really one of the big benefits of letting yourself move with presence, connect, and play, and loop of awareness, and all the stuff that we're playing with. So yum. So thanks for being with me today, and much love to all of you. And please stay and play and share as long as you like. And I'm going to be going to get some breakfast. All right. Mwah. Take care.